Cool. Also, it's going to be fun. I'm glad to have you, Mikey. I think so. What I like to do is like kind of do a little bit of ice break kind of thing, and then ask some kind of bigger questions, and then go into the to your journey, as it were.
Yeah,
I thought we'd start with triathlon. Since that's what brought us
sure.
together, honestly. How did
Yeah,
you get into triathlon, and where are you at with your training and your racing and all that?
yeah. It was slow and then fast. So, I guess background is I grew up playing hockey and baseball, played hockey through college, and like always had that athlete identity. I graduated college, and in my senior year, I started like spinning at just on like the spin bikes at Wesleyan. We'll listen to Big Booty Mix and like pick it up during the intense parts and ease off during the chill parts of the mixes, and then kept doing that into my adult life as I was working, um, and then COVID hit, and a friend had convinced me to get a road bike. Well, actually, no. Before that, COVID hit. Couldn't go to gyms, so I couldn't use spin bikes. So then I started going on runs and just kind of doing like, again, similar to the way I would do it to Big Booty Mixes. Go hard during the intense parts and ease off in the easy. I remember doing my first run and like just getting the worst side cramps, and I like had to walk the last mile home. And then I slowly got fitter and fitter. I was just usually would run between 30 and 40 minutes. And then eventually I got my own spin bike. And a friend also convinced me to get a road bike. And so I'm riding my road bike with my cousin one summer in 2021. And he's into triathlons. His mom, my aunt, used to do triathlons. And he's like, you should do the Chicago Triathlon. I was like, I don't know. I'm not a great swimmer, but I'll think about it. When is it? He's like, in 2 weeks. I was like, ah. He's like, I know you're not a great swimmer, but like, you know how to swim. You'll survive. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I like went in Lake Michigan, swam like 3 or 4 times. I bought a, though I didn't know anything about it. I bought a wetsuit, but like a surfing wetsuit. And then I later learned like right before the race that like you're not supposed to swim in those. So I was like, oh, so I just swam in my tri suit, and the swim was terrible. I was getting passed by like they were doing age group starts, and so it'd be like male age group like of 25 to 29 or something, and then the female age group, which started 5 minutes after me, started passing me, and I was like, ugh. But then I got on the bike and I was passing everyone. I was doing the run. I passed everyone. I finished, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I want to do it again. So then I signed up for that was like early September 2021. I signed up for a half Ironman in California in December, and I did that. And just like from there, I just like got so into the training and like the process, like the sports science and physiology, the nutrition, and I just really have enjoyed it. It gave me that athletic identity again.
Yeah.
And so, fast forward 4 years, and I've done 7 half Ironmans. I've made it to 70.3 World Championships in Finland in 2023, which is such a cool experience. And I'm in the midst of training for my first full Ironman in Arizona in November. So right now, I'm just doing some longer rides, doing some longer runs, and yeah, getting excited for the first full Ironman in November.
That's cool, man. So, and then I guess the other thing I just wanted before we kind of get back into your story, what brought us together was this trail running report. So, what was that all about, and kind of what were your takeaways from it?
Yeah, so I was looking online at the Tuck job portal. Gordy, come here. Sorry, my dog's just trying to chew on some dirt. Um, I was looking online and I saw this cool, proposals, scope of work of doing something to better sport of trail running. And I was like, I just had done a trail running race in Argentina the year before, and I was like getting really like hyped on the sport, thought it was really cool. And so I was like, yeah, let's do something. And so after talking with you, we kind of bounced around different ideas of how could we better the sport. And we were like, I think what would be really beneficial, or what we think would be really beneficial, is just like a report that highlights like how big this sport is, how many people are doing it, how much money is going into it, not just from like how many people are buy shoes or how many people sign up for races, but like what do people spend on nutrition? What do people spend on traveling and coaching services? Like all the different things that generate revenue from trail running. Can we capture that? And so we did a survey with like 2,000 respondents to try to address all those things. We interviewed experts, professional trail runners to understand like what are their economics like and their dynamics, different race organizers to understand their dynamics and economics, and really had like one of the most like comprehensive reports for trail running out there. So it was really fun to work on, to get to talk to those people, work with you. And the whole time I never really thought about what the outcome would be other than like, okay, there's this like cool paper out there. But it was really cool to see all the attention it got on like LinkedIn, and like got asked to go on a podcast. And as someone who loves listening to podcasts, like I was on one. That was so cool. Um, and it's just like cool to like feel like I did something that, hopefully is helpful to other people. And the whole point was to get to inspire, brands or companies or individuals to take action off of this report. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it was great. It was great working with you on it. And another side benefit for me, frankly, is that Ian and Scratch Labs become like a really good friend. And he came on
Yeah,
this
exactly.
in
Like,
with his class, and he is a super cool dude. I mean,
yeah,
his
exactly.
story is amazing. Like it's crazy. And
Yeah,
that was
another,
random. It's like just because his product came up at the top, when we
yeah.
just did a survey. We didn't
He
like
sent
try
us
and cherry pick it at all. It's just like
No, yeah. He sent us some free product, and now,
yeah,
I'm a big Scratch fan, and
yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
I can stay
yeah,
connected with him as well. It's really
yeah.
cool.
It's cool. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some big picture stuff. I mean, I know you're kind of still mid-career, but kind of so far, like what are you proudest of? What do you think has been the most important accomplishments for you in your career?
I think I think what I'm most proud of is the fact that like I've been confident in that whatever I'm doing now doesn't have to be the job that I do for the rest of my life. Um, and this kind of came from a book called Range: Why Generals Succeed in Today's Society, something like that, by David Epstein. And it's basically like the idea that a lot of the most successful people in the world tried lots of different things, but didn't specialize until they were later on in life. And that's like when they, developed their company or found their sport or something like that. And they were able to draw on different experiences. So for me, it's like started out in wealth management and enjoyed it, and now pivoted to consulting and I'm enjoying it, but it's still trying to figure out like what is the ultimate thing I want to do and how do I get there. And I feel like I've been able to learn from so many different experiences, even within just those two careers and now business school, that like I don't have like any like anxiety or fear that like I don't know what I want to do yet, but I am excited about the possibilities that are out there, and that the path I'm on is helping me get there.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know if you've like listened to any of this other speakers or whatever, but we talk a lot about growth mindset, and like it's very much always trying to get better and like not ever being worried about failure, right? It's like which is similar to what you're saying, in that there's no like there's no promised land.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like I need to
Um,
like start as an analyst and climb to MD at
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
everyone has their own path.
Right, exactly. And God only knows that my path was not direct for sure.
Right.
So another question that I like to ask is so far, like what is a big mistake you made that you would advise the students listening not to make?
Um, One thing that I learned at business school is um less is more. And what I learned, and so in the context of business school, is like there's so many cool things that you want to be doing, all these different extracurriculars and clubs and people to talk to, and I you can spread yourself thin really quickly. And when you do that, you don't really give a full effort in anything, and you don't really make the most of anything. And so you kind of end up just wasting your time doing lots of little things, as opposed to picking the one, two, or three things that really matter to you and just going all in on those and getting the most fulfillment out of them. I think that's and so how you can like translate that to more than just business school is just like anything in life. Like pick the one, two, or three things and just really focus on them and enjoy them and try to learn and grow from them. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's good advice. What's the most fun you ever had at work? What's like your best day?
My best day, this is kind of like an accomplishment, but um, one of the most emotional days was when I learned I got sponsorship for business school. Um, I'll kind of open up here. I had kind of a tough 2 years at Bain of feeling like I was just barely meeting the bar to get promoted. It's kind of an up or out culture. There had been this one email that had accidentally gone out as one staffing manager was changing over to the other, and it had some notes in there about individuals. There was like a whole Excel file that we couldn't see, but there was with notes, but there was like 4 or 5 people that were like in the body of the email, and one was about me saying like barely meeting the bar, needs a lot of help, not sure, wants sponsorship, not sure if he'll get it. And it went out to my whole class because they had accidentally like put the um what do you call it, like list serve for our email for our class in there, and that like automatically went into the like two line.
That's fucking
Um
terrible, dude. I'm so
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So I was like, one, I was like, this is tough to read, but two, it was like so embarrassing that like my whole class could see that. I mean, it got like recalled right away, but people still saw it. And so like that kind of fueled a fire for me for like the next year and a half or two to like do what I needed to do to get promotion and get sponsorship. And so there were some times after that where like I was on a case, it was not going well and like really spiraling, losing confidence, just not going well. And then I had to build myself back up. So when I like had that final call with my promotion guardian, it's like March or April, maybe even May of the year I was supposed to start business school. I'd already gotten in. And I was like committed to going because it's either like I get sponsorship and I go, or I don't get sponsorship, which basically means I'm fired. So business school will be the next best thing anyway to find a job. So, but obviously I wanted sponsorship. And so at Bain, you have a promotion guardian, which is like a partner that like, is kind of the one giving you feedback and uh, lets you know yes or no at the end of the day. And I just started bawling, and I was like, "Aaron, thank you so much. Like,
Mm.
so many people helped me along the way, and it just like it made me feel like I belonged there, and that I could do the job, and I had earned it. And it relieved just a lot of stress for going into business school. And now
Just
and it
so
get. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just so the guys understand, explain what sponsorship means.
Oh yeah, so sponsorship is just the word that uh, people use for when your firm, your employer pays for going to business school. So the way it works at Bain is you earn sponsorship. It basically means you're now given a contract to sign that says I will go to business school for 1 year or usually 2 years, and for every year I go to school, they will pay for, and I will come back and work a year or two. So I'm going to be starting back at Bain in November, and I will be doing at least 2 years there, so I don't have to pay for business school and continue to learn and grow.
Yeah, that's great. It's awesome, man. Congratulations. So let's go back. So, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Chicago?
Yeah, I grew up in the north suburbs of Chicago in a town called Winnetka.
Okay, yeah, I know where. Yeah, I know Winnetka.
Yeah.
And so, how did you get from there to Wesleyan?
So, I'd say like there's always like really, I said this at the beginning, but like played hockey and baseball, had the athlete identity, but was also like a hardworking student. So it was kind of like my sophomore or junior year of high school when I was like, oh, I really want to play college hockey. And like I wanted to play NCAA hockey, not like club hockey, because I wanted everyone to really be bought in and like take it seriously, because that's how I like to do hockey is like, everyone gives a shit and we all work hard and have a goal. Um, and so, but I also wanted to go to like a good academic school because I'm like, I'm probably not going to be pro. Like, I probably won't even play D1. I'm not that good. So that's where I started to learn about the NESCAC schools. And like, that fits my wheelhouse of like strong academics, good hockey. And, um, I going into my senior year, I did some showcases out east, and uh, I started talking to the coach at Exeter Academy in Bowdoin, and the Exeter coach was like, "Yeah, I really like you. You should come for a visit." I visited. He's like, "This is where you will be staying." Made it seem like it was a done deal, and I was like, "Great." Visited Bowdoin. He's like, "Yeah, I know you're talking to the Exeter coach. We really like you. We could probably have you come next year and like support your application, make sure you get in. You probably wouldn't play as a freshman, but if you went to Exeter and did a post grad year, you'd have probably have grown enough, developed enough that you could play right as a freshman." So I was like, "Great, I got the plan. Go to Exeter, PG, go to Bowdoin." Well, then April comes and I get waitlisted at Exeter. Coach is like, "Sorry, that happens sometimes." Bowdoin coach doesn't talk to me. So I scrambled into Northfield Mount Hermon. I like was emailing different prep school coaches because I hadn't applied anywhere, and they were like, Northfield Mount Hermon coach got back to me. He's like, "Could use a defenseman. Let's get you in." Lucky enough, they were a good school with good, decent hockey. So going into my PG year, I did some more showcases, and I got some looks from the Wesleyan coach. And when it came time for early decision one, I was like, "This is the school that wants me. It's a chance to play great college hockey. Let's do it." So that's how I got to Wesleyan.
Wow, that's great. And so, what did you value most in your Wesleyan experience?
Um, I think I valued a couple things. One, like just like the chance to play college hockey was so fun. Like some of the most fun 4 years of hockey of going from being the worst team in the NESCAC, winning 2 games, to having one of the best records in Wesleyan's hockey history, and really just being a part of a class that just cared so much about bettering the program, and several classes above me and below me. But like I felt like our class really was the heartbeat of it. Um, and then also just like the early beginnings of like my professional life of like started learning to like network and figure out job stuff my freshman year and already um and early on I just started making connections and learning the value of talking to people, learning about what they do and how that can go a really long way for yourself and with other people. And that's kind of honestly like anywhere I've gotten for the most part has been because of networking of like I at least had talked to this person at Goldman at my first job and then was able to reconnect with people at consulting firms. That's how I ended up at Bain. And then one of my best friends was at Tuck, and so I learned that Tuck was the place for me. So it's just the power of connections is really really strong.
Yeah, so talk to me about what exactly were you doing at Goldman, and what was that experience like?
So I was a financial analyst in the private wealth management group. So private wealth management is um, wealth management for ultra high net worth individuals and families. And so you have an advisor who maintains the relationship with the client and kind of helps make decisions for a client's portfolio. And as an analyst, you're there to support the advisor, help them put together presentations, analyze how their portfolio is doing, make suggestions, and help them find new clients and all that. Um, and it was really good. It's kind of like they call it like the liberal arts of finance because you kind of get a taste of all the different asset classes since your clients are investing in all the asset classes. And as an econ major, I enjoyed it a lot as well because it's so like how clients' portfolios are doing is so driven by the economy and what's happening in the world and in the markets. So you got CNBC on, all days or all hours while you're at the office, and so Fed releases its latest meeting notes of why or why not they raise interest rates or something like that, and you're kind of understanding like the mechanisms at play of like how that's going to affect the different asset classes and what that means for your client's portfolio. So like it was very mentally stimulating in that sense. Yeah, so it was a good couple years, a good foundation for my professional life as well as my personal life of just like basic financial literacy, understanding how to invest your own money. It's a good skill to have.
So, why did you decide to make the switch to Bain, and how did you do that?
Yeah, so um usually people in my role at Goldman, you do 2 years and you kind of decide if you want to stay or go. And I was kind of getting to that 2 year mark, and I was thinking, what do I want out of my job? I want a job that is a little bit more decision based, makes me think a little bit more critically. I felt like my job was getting a little executional. And then I wanted a job that was a little bit more collaborative, like really had to work with teams to solve problems or work on something. Like I was on a team, but it was kind of more like you had your own work and kind of did your own thing. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. And then I wanted a job where people were a little bit more collaborative, or sorry, social, like in at work and outside of work, where your friends were kind of your friends outside the office as well. So I was telling a friend this who worked in consulting, and she's like, "Mikey, what you described is exactly consulting." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I was also living in Boston at the time and thought about, I'd always wanted to see what it was like to live in the city of Chicago. So that was another reason to try to change. And so how I made the switch once I decided I wanted to try consulting was reached out to old friends that I knew that worked at, the big consulting firms and asked if I could, hear about what they do and, what I should do if I'm interested in working there. And this was like April 2020, 2021, coming out of COVID. So a lot of these consulting firms were like hiring like crazy. And so I got lucky riding that wave and applied and got interviews at, a lot of the big firms and got a couple of offers and ended up choosing Bain based on, you know, a couple of things. One being uh, the regional staffing model of like you get staffed on cases with people from your home office as opposed to offices all over meant a lot to me because I wanted to be able to maintain relationships even after a case was over. Like you could have 3 or 6 months with a great group of people, but if we're not in the same office after that, like I'm never going to see you again. Really, it's going to be hard. Versus in Chicago, at my office, like I still keep in touch with a lot of the, like former case teammates, and some of them are great mentors that I'll get lunch or coffee with, once a month or something. So that means a lot. And then also just the type of people at Bain just kind of felt like the people I wanted to be around compared to some of the other firms I had interviewed with. Like only nice things to say about them, but I just felt more like the people at Bain that I interviewed with, and so it's where I felt comfortable going.
So what's how about an example of a case that you really liked that you worked on at Bain?
I got to do this one case where we were a part of several teams working on an aerospace joint venture. So two like aerospace and defense companies were doing a joint venture to try to take over some of the Artemis missions to get NASA astronauts to Mars and the moon and beyond. But because this was like a joint venture, so like kind of like helping a startup. And so we were in charge of, deciding like what are the different functions that you need, right? Like you got your engineering function, your finance function, and like how does that look for a government contracted business? And like all the rules and regulations you have to meet, and like how big should it be? All these like weird things. And sadly, NASA kind of pulled the plug on the contract, but it was really cool to work on for a few weeks. Got to go to Huntsville, Alabama, like a big aerospace and engineering hub, aerospace and defense hub, meet with some of the clients. So that was a cool project. And it was also just like a really good group of people, a fun group of people to work with.
So I was gonna ask so maybe I know there's a bunch of guys who might be interested in consulting. So maybe just like can you just like maybe go through like day in the life, like what it was like, what it is like to be a Bain consultant?
Yeah, for sure. So usually, your day kind of starts around 9 a.m. That's when most people get in. You usually have a morning huddle or meeting with your team where you go over like what are our priorities for the day. And then you get to work, maybe meet with your work stream, to just be even more specific about what you're trying to accomplish for the day. And what you're doing on your case will vary from so many things. You could be kind of plugging away on some sort of model, putting slides together for a client meeting, um, doing expert calls to understand a market better, so many different things. So you're kind of working away on those things. Um, you might be checking in with your supervisor or your supervisee a couple times throughout the day, getting ready for like the next meeting that's coming up, something like that, having some client meetings, and then sometime between like 4 and 6 p.m. you usually have an afternoon huddle with your full team, discuss what are our priorities for the night, what do we need to do to make sure that we can log off, hopefully at a good time. Oftentimes people will head home after this huddle, get home for dinner. People have families, take care of kids, whatnot. Some people, younger people, might stay at the office, or anyone might stay at the office a little bit longer. And then you keep working on that, and then hopefully you've hit your goals for the night. Taking care of the work that you need to get done, be ready for tomorrow, and your day might end at 6 or 7 p.m. on good days, or sometimes it's going to be a couple late nights in a row, staying up till 11 or midnight. Just kind of depends on the work and what's needed for the next day and where you're at. So that's generally a typical day.
So so what kind of like how many hours a week do you think you're working on average?
I would say anywhere between like 55 to 65.
Yeah. Okay.
And no,
Makes sense.
and Monday through Friday, like weekends are not a lot, or there's never anything on weekends, and then Fridays usually you're done by like 6 p.m.
Yeah. And so why do you want to go to business school?
I wanted to go to business school for a few reasons. One, wanted to get a better sense of what I wanted to do long term, and like what are the different career paths out there. Like I like being in consulting, but like what else might I want to do in the future. Two, I wanted to build my network, make more connections to help me get to those places and learn from other people. And another big thing was just like I just want to be in a place where I can be around friends. Like as an adult, like I have lots of friends, but as an adult, everyone's got so many different priorities and things going on in their life spread out in different places. But when you're in business school or really, or even undergrad, all your friends are in the same place, generally same set of priorities. I mean, people are older in business school and have families and stuff, but people generally have the same things going on. And it's just easier to socialize and be with your friends. And so to have 2 years to like take advantage of all those things seemed like a really great opportunity. And then you had sponsorship, having it paid for by your firm. That's a huge win because most
Yeah,
people
yeah,
don't have
yeah,
to pay for it
yeah.
themselves. So those were the main reasons. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was a duplicative of what you'd already learned at Bain at all, or did you learn a lot of new stuff?
Um, I would say I learned some new things for sure. I learned a lot of like soft skill things of like negotiations or like how to lead diverse teams um or some technical things of like taxes and business, um some more economic things, um some investing things. But I think what I really gained like from like educationally from Tuck was like sharpening a lot of my skills of like I found myself leading projects and teams a lot. So like kind of playing the manager role that like I might be stepping into soon when I'm back at Bain.
So I thought it'd be kind of fun to also like just for a minute talk about like our newest crazy project.
Yeah, let's do it.
So so what we can do it real time. What
Yeah.
so we've been talking just for the students' benefit, we've been Mikey and I have been talking about this idea of like kind of a well-being index for the country. That's a lot deeper than the S&P 500. Um, what did maybe just give your reactions to like what we've been talking about and why it might be important.
Yeah. So I mean, you have like, different like happiness indicators out there or like well-being indicators out there of like the World Happiness Report and things like that. But it's really hard to really know like how well off is a country or like is there anything that we should be worrying about for a country? And how do you get measure that? And so, there's things out there, but like what can we do that like is a little bit different? And we're trying to like get a set of like metrics or indicators that really like highlights this. And so I think where we're trying to head now is like kind of like a list of things that are more like warning signals for people to be wary of and be like, oh man, we're like trending in some some not so good directions, and hopefully people will see that and want to take action on some of those things. So maybe that's like you know college or like higher education is becoming too expensive, or we're becoming more segregated than we ever have been, things like that. So how do we kind of boil that down and get people to notice that?
Yeah, I mean the idea is that kind of canary in the coal mine, like so things like uh infant mortality, teen suicide, um, the price of a four-year college at the top 100 schools, um, something on wealth concentration, that kind of thing, where you know people, people who look at the S&P index, it's like basically following the Magnificent Seven and how they're like stripping out costs with AI and like enriching like the top 1% of the country, which doesn't really tell you fundamentally how well the country is actually doing. And so
Yeah.
this is an attempt to like get deeper into that. I think Sam has his hand up. Sam, do you want to ask a question?
I wanted to ask. That sounds super cool, but I was wondering if you guys have any indicators because you sound like good indicators because it sounded like it was a bunch of indicators about like bad things. Are there anything that like indicates wellness or good things?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know, Mikey, have we thought of it? That's actually indicating goodness.
I mean, I think some of the indicators that we had originally been talking about were kind of could capture that. Like they're more like general things, and you could be doing really well on them, or you could be doing really poorly on them.
Yeah.
Um, but I think where we're kind of landing is a set of indicators that are more like warning signals. So it's like, yeah. So I feel like we're kind of looking for
We talked for a
like,
while. We talked about education, so like you can measure. Uh, well, so like there's different ways of going about it. So like you could say like, well, what's the average education level in the country, for instance,
Mm.
or what's the percentage of people who actually have a four-year degree?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
like I've kind of been going the other way recently because like that's already measured and it's kind of mushy.
Yeah.
Um, and so on that one, I was like thinking about it the opposite, which is what's the percentage of the country that is below a sixth grade reading level? And it's
Uh.
a big fucking number.
Yeah.
Like it's a crazy number.
Mm.
So something like that. It's just a lot more attention grabbing than
Right.
saying, oh well, like the average education in the country was 14 years of education and now it's
Yeah.
15. Like who fucking cares really? And so it's really about like indicators that show that there's something fundamentally wrong that we should be paying attention to, with the idea that in business, things that are measured tend to improve,
Yeah.
right? And so if we come up with eight or nine things that are indicating something really bad is going on, the hope is to pay attention to gather attention to it, to do something to change it.
Okay.
And it may or may not work, but unfortunately, these kinds of things, what you want is to get eyeballs
Mhm.
and um, and kind of good news isn't necessarily going to be as easy to get attention. Although it's a
So,
very fair point, so we should kind of think of we're just Mikey and I just come up with these crazy fucking ideas. So
okay.
we're still trying to sort it out. In fact, I think Mikey has some work to do because part of what we want to do is find
yeah.
like we want to find metrics that are completely that everyone can agree on the number and that the data is good. And we want stuff that's measured very regularly, so probably once a month, and where we can find data that goes back 10 years so we can have the trend line,
Right.
and then it's going to be reported very regularly going forward.
Hmm.
Um, and so in certain of the things we're thinking about, we're going to have to be somewhat creative to find metrics where that data is available.
Yeah.
Um,
So the whole
so
point
like,
is to raise awareness and like to get people.
yeah, to
Okay.
basically say like, hey, if you look at where the S&P 500 is, 1% of the people who own equities in this country control like 60% of the equities, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't really indicate fundamentally how well we're doing as a country.
Right.
And some of the metrics we're talking about, we believe, are kind of more fundamental to what's going on, and are actually more important, frankly, to the majority of people. Um, but
Interesting.
like for instance, like just getting we're kind of going completely off topic here, but
Yeah.
uh, but for instance, like I'm very sensitive and interested in crimes against women, right?
Mm.
And um, and it's really hard to kind of figure out how to measure that. It's very tricky because most crimes against women are not reported.
Right.
Um, and so you can't really go on, um, how many rape convictions there are. Because, like, in fact, you kind of want that number to go up because that's not really indicating how many rapes there are. It's just indicating what percentage of people are actually getting caught, right? Um, and so, like on that one, I've been looking at it more deeply, and there's survey data. I'm not sure how reliable it is that would give you some indication. Um, so ones like that is, you got to spend some time to figure out what's a fair measure because you also want to make it so it's not political in any sense. Like the numbers are the numbers are the numbers, right? It's not like we're not interpreting anything. So if it's, infant mortality is infant mortality.
Right.
Um, Test scores on literacy are test scores on literacy.
Mm.
Like another one is uh, the number of children in the country who have food insecurity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty hard number. Like we know what that number is. So those are the kinds of things that I'm tending towards because they're just not. You can't really debate it. You can
Yeah.
debate whether it's good or bad. It's pretty fucking bad. Um, but uh, but it's not like the numbers up for interpretation in any way, shape, or form. So we have like 10 of these categories that we're trying to figure out. Well, who knows? Gives Mikey something to do.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. So yeah, that's like kind of where we're at right now is like trying to understand how feasible and helpful are these metrics for what we're trying to achieve. Like, do they have the history and frequency that we want, and are they, providing the meaning that we want?
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyhow, that's the kind of thing that Mikey and I spend our time chatting about.
Yeah,
So the
fun
last
stuff.
question, back on trying to get back on track here. So these guys are, interested in, business career, and again, they're freshman, sophomore athletes. What would you advise them, like tangible things that they should be doing now, like in the next 12 months as they come into their sophomore and junior year, in terms of getting themselves ready for a career in business?
Yeah, I think getting a taste, and you guys, I know you're doing this because I've done it with several of the students in this program already, is just continuing to network and really understanding the different careers out there and getting a sense of does this sound like something I'd want to do? Or is this just like, okay, that was a good conversation, but I have like no interest in pursuing that later on? I feel like the more you can start to, you know, find yourself getting attracted to certain areas and then going further down those rabbit holes, the better.
And for people who, just one kind of added question there. So for people who are interested in consulting, working for Bain or the equivalent, what's kind of the track there to get those entry level jobs?
Well, I didn't have the typical track, but from what I know, there's usually, junior year internships, and your goal is to, try to land one of those. And to do that, you want to start, again, networking is always helpful. Um, there's usually just like you go on their website, you apply. And I would say to set yourself up best to like get yourself into one of those roles is you want to have a really solid resume. And that means you got to do well in school. Having a 3.9 GPA is looks a lot better than having a 3.1. And it's not absolutely necessary to have like relevant experience on your resume or relevant classes, but it helps a little bit, especially even if it's like something that you did kind of extracurricularly or like outside of school of, you helped on some sort of like local consulting project or you tried to start your own little business. Um, or even if it's just like a special interest at the bottom of your resume of like something that's kind of related to the function that you want to do, can go a long way. And then if you, get interviews, being able to talk about the things that you're doing that relate to the job you want and how it's like either helping you learn or helping you build skills that would be applicable to that job, I would say are important things.
And I know what the banking schedule is like. When are the consulting interviews for the junior summer internship? Do you know?
I want to say it's similar. I want to say they probably start the fall of your junior year.
All of your junior year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know banking they like moved it up to like sophomore year, but now like JP Morgan's moved it back or whatever. Kind of forget what's happened since I went through the process, but
Okay. All
I think it's
right.
typically fall of your junior year. I know there's often internships for sophomores. That's usually more for like um, diversity hiring and those kind of special programs. Um, but the more general like track is that junior year internship, which usually you start applying for in the fall of your junior year. Yeah, that's a good question because it definitely can happen where your schedules or your working styles are different. I think just being like really upfront about it, being like, it seems like you prefer, this kind of thing, or, having things done at this time. I would prefer more of this. How can we meet in the middle here? Or find ways that we can compromise. So just being really open, and calling things out. And then other times, I think you kind of, especially when it's people who are more senior to you, I think you kind of do have to take it on the chin a little bit and acquiesce to what they're doing. Um, and just do your best to really understand like what is it that they want, or like why are they doing it the way they want to do it, and maybe that will provide you a little bit more insight as to like, oh, okay, now I see, like maybe that's changed my point of view, or at least I understand where they're coming from, and I can kind of buy in a little bit to more about what they're trying to do.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Pam, you got a question?
I don't have one exactly. Like it still could be a lot of things, but I've always said like the three things I'm most passionate about are like climate change and sustainability, sports slash fitness, and then food and restaurants. So
So,
like in one of those three areas, or like a way that they can like kind of combine, like working at like a company like Strava would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like I someone who's an active user of it sees a lot of potential in the way it can, grow, and how other people can interact with it. So like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or like being a part of like, the next big clean energy company. Like I'm not an engineer, but like if I could be more on the strategy side of things and like help be a part of like that company grow
Yeah.
would be really cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't really know when, where, what it will be, but just keep trying to find the things that like when I show up to work, I feel like I've got a little bit more of a purpose and like want to like build something as opposed to just kind of being in the client services as I have been, where solving someone else's problem, which is, it's fulfilling and it's nice to help other people, but it would be nice to help other people on like something that's my own mission.
Are you the type of guy that thinks that if you don't record it on Strava, it doesn't count, like a run or a bike?
A little bit, yeah. I have a long Strava streak that I'm trying to maintain.
Okay, that's awesome.
so I have two Strava data points for you. Number one, I was a beta user on Strava, one of the first
That's
like 100 users probably.
Wow, that's
Uh,
really cool. Have you ever spoken to Michael Horvath?
I don't know. I haven't directly. I don't know how that happened, honestly. I'm just like kind of a psycho with this kind of thing.
Well, I
So
mean, it was
somehow,
started by another, rowing
yeah,
former,
yeah, 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 yeah,
so.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I was very, very early. And number two, like I've turned it off. Like I will only record. I mean, I use it with my coach, but like just all the like the kind of workout porn going on. I'm just like, I don't need people commenting on my workouts.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it's
I
mostly
don't
just for
po I don't post anything other than races.
it's mostly just for me. Like I don't need to have the interaction with other people, but it is fun to see what other people are doing. But like I don't really care if people give me kudos or comment on my stuff. It's fun. But like the other day, someone commented on one of my rides. I had passed someone. I was going really fast on a bike ride, And normally I say like on your left. I was just going so fast, like, what's the point? The guy took the time to find me on Strava and comment on my thing, being like, "Hey, you're supposed to say on your left. It's common courtesy in cycling." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that." I was just
Oh
like,
my God.
I don't know, stuff like that is
I
whatever.
think it's just my rowing friend. They're all like they all love to like give each other shit, and I'm just like enough
Just be
already.
super competitive
I just
about
want to
it.
be. I don't want to think about what I'm doing other than for my coach. I don't need my friends telling me that I had a great workout or a shitty workout, or they're faster than me. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
All right, two more questions. We'll let you go. One favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Uh, I might give a couple answers here, but The Big Short is a big one. It's funny. It's kind of how it's what got me into finance. I saw that movie freshman year and be like, oh, see how econ and this relate. And I just think it's a really great story. And then I also love Catch Me If You Can. Just like all time Leo, Tom Hanks, great story, fun, great soundtrack.
Yeah, The Big Short's on the curriculum on the curriculum for this course. I don't know if I've actually put it in the curriculum or just put it as an extra optional thing, but it's definitely worth watching. It's very cool.
Yeah, book is
Um,
good too.
yeah, definitely. Last question. One word that you'd like to leave the students to remember as they go forward.
One word. Um, Man, this is a hard one. Trying to think of something profound, but it might not be very profound.
Doesn't need to be profound. It could be funny.
Um, this is gonna sound cheesy, but grind. Just like, whatever you're doing, nose to the grindstone, work hard at it. Kind of what I was saying before. Doesn't make sense to half-ass a few things, whole-ass one thing, grind at it, and you'll see some fruits of your labor.
Said like a true Iron Man, honestly.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same boat. No talent, just grind.
Yeah.
All right, man. This is really fun. Thanks for your time, and
Yeah.
we'll get
Apologies
this
for
posted.
my moving around and everything. Thanks for
No,
hanging
it's all
with me,
good.
but this is super fun.
Yeah, we'll get it posted up for the other guys. But we'll
Fantastic.
talk soon, and we'll catch up on the index and all that later.
Yep, sounds good.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Talk to you later. All right,
See ya.
bye.